At 20, she truly believed she had found the perfect man, but when she discovered she was pregnant, he walked away, and the unexpected support came from the last person she ever imagined, her boss, a man 25 years older. Camilla sat alone in the small meeting room, her hands trembling on the cold wooden table. The pen she always carried slipped through her fingers as if life itself had spun out of control. The ticking clock on the wall seemed to mock her with every second. "You're late to tell the truth." The door opened, and he walked in. Marcelo Vasconcelos, 45, impeccably dressed, serious expression, the kind of man whose mere presence demanded respect. He was her boss, the owner of the company she'd been working at for just over a year. "Camilla, you asked to see me. Is something wrong?" His deep voice echoed through the quiet room. Her eyes welled up with tears before she could utter a single word. She took a deep breath, but her voice cracked. I'm pregnant." Marcelo blinked, caught off guard. Silence. Only the hum of the air conditioner filled the room. As for the father, "I'm not expecting anything. He left me. I don't know what to do. I'm 20, Marcelo. 20. My mom is going to kill me. My dad will throw me out. And I need this job. I really need it." She buried her face in her hands, trying to hide her tears. Marcelo stood still for a long moment, as if processing everything. Then, calmly, he stepped forward and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Look at me, Camilla." She lifted her eyes, red, filled with tears. "You're not losing this job, and you're not going to face this alone." His words echoed in her mind like a balm, but the pain quickly returned, in the form of memories. She had met Daniel at a college party. Tall, easy smile, full of dreams about seeing the world. He seemed too perfect. For a while, Camilla believed she was living in a fairy tale. Sweet messages, promises of a future, sleepless nights talking about everything and nothing. But everything changed when she showed him the test. He didn't smile, didn't hug her. He just laughed, nervously. "You're joking, right?" She shook her head, frightened. "I'm serious, Daniel. I'm going to be a mom." His gaze turned cold, almost cruel. "Then you deal with it. I didn't ask for this." And he left, without looking back. That night, Camilla cried herself to sleep, clutching her pillow. It was the moment she realized she had no ground beneath her anymore. Marcelo's voice broke through the fog of painful memory. "Camilla, I know you're scared, but listen to me, I can help, and I'm not just talking about your job." She looked at him, puzzled. "What do you mean?" He took a deep breath, like someone about to make a bold move. "I'm 45. I'm not married, I have no children. My company doesn't just care about numbers, they care about image. I have to appear stable, like a man with a family, for clients, for partners, for the media." Camilla frowned, still confused. "And what does that have to do with me?" He gripped her hand firmly across the table. "I'm offering to marry you." Her world spun. She let out a nervous laugh, thinking it was a joke. "Marcelo, that's insane. I could be your daughter." "It's not insane, Camilla, it's a deal. You need stability to raise your child. I need a family to uphold the company's image. No one needs to know the truth. It would just be a marriage of convenience." She pulled her hand back, stunned. "Do you have any idea what people will say? They'll think I tricked you, that I used the pregnancy to climb the ladder." Marcelo held her gaze, unwavering. "Let them talk. They don't know the truth. And the truth is, I won't let you face this alone." Camilla stayed silent, staring at the man across from her. The proposal was absurd, irrational, a loveless marriage, just a contract for survival. But at the same time, it was the first hand that had reached out since her world collapsed. She took a deep breath, her heart racing, and thought to herself, maybe. This is the only way out I have left. Camilla spent countless sleepless nights after that conversation with Marcelo. Lying on the narrow bed in her room, she stared at the cracked ceiling as if the white lines might reveal hidden answers. Her boss's words echoed endlessly in her mind. "I'm offering to marry you." She tossed and turned, weighed down by the magnitude of it all. A marriage without love, a marriage built on convenience, but at the same time, a lifeline, a way to survive, for her and for the child growing inside her. Can I carry this? Can I lie to the world and to myself? But before making any decision, she knew she had to face the truth at home. She had to tell her parents. That night, the house was as it always was. The smell of simple food, the TV humming with the evening news. Her father, worn down from a long day's work, ate in silence. Her mother, still wearing her apron, served rice and beans like nothing could disrupt her routine. Camilla pulled out a chair and sat down. Her heart was pounding, but she knew she couldn't wait any longer. "I need to talk to you," she said. Her mother looked up first, suspicious. Her father didn't even pause. "About what?" her mother asked, setting the ladle on the table. Camilla took a deep breath. The words came out fast, like ripping off a bandage. "I'm pregnant." Her father's fork froze mid-air. Her mother's spoon fell back into the pot, splashing beans across the table. The silence that followed was deafening. Camilla almost wished they'd started shouting, reacted with anger, anything but that look of sheer disappointment that stung worse than any slap. Finally, her mother spoke. "Who's the father?" Camilla swallowed hard. "It doesn't matter." Her mother let out a dry, bitter laugh. "It doesn't matter. You disgrace this family, throw your life away, and now it doesn't matter." Her father slammed his fist on the table, the plates rattling. "I always said you were irresponsible. Always daydreaming, thinking life was some soap opera. And now look at you, pregnant. You haven't even finished school and you're dragging our name through the mud." Camilla felt the burn of tears rising in her eyes. "I'm still in school. I work. I'm not lazy. I'm going to take care of this baby. I just need you." But her mother wasn't listening. Shame spoke louder. "The neighbors will laugh in our faces. What will we say at church? You've stained our name, Camilla." Her father stood up, yanking the chair back violently. "You're not raising a bastard child under my roof. You want to act like an adult, then handle things like one. Pack your things and get out of this house." Camilla's eyes widened in disbelief. "Dad, I have nowhere to go." Her mother looked away. "You made your choice, Camilla. Now live with the consequences." She tried to argue, tried to cry, to beg, but there was no room left. The verdict had already been given. And the sentence was clear: exile. With a hastily packed backpack and tears smudging her face, Camilla walked out of the house where she'd grown up. The door slammed shut behind her like a cruel final period. On the dark street, the flickering streetlights seemed to mock her loneliness. She walked aimlessly, feet aching, chest heavy. Each step echoed like a whisper, "You're alone, you're alone." She sat on a bench in the empty square, hugging her backpack tight against her chest. The night wind bit at her skin, but it wasn't the cold that hurt most. It was the emptiness. Only then, between sobs and shaky breaths, did his name come to her. Marcelo. The only one who had offered her a way out. The only one who hadn't judged her. Her hands trembled as she picked up the phone. Her heart screamed it was madness, but her lips whispered to herself, "Maybe it's not madness. Maybe it's the only chance I have." She dialed the number. It rang twice before being answered. "Camilla?" His deep voice was calm but concerned. I accept your proposal." Silence. Then, his answer, firm, almost like a vow. "Where are you?" "I'm coming to get you now." And for the first time in a long time, Camilla didn't feel entirely alone. The car slid through the long iron gates of the Vasconcelos estate. One by one, automatic lights flicked on, revealing perfectly trimmed gardens, silent fountains, and the grand, imposing facade of the house. Camilla, curled up in the passenger seat, felt herself shrinking with every passing second. Her eyes, still red from the previous night's tears, reflected the fear of not belonging to that world. "Yesterday I was on the street," cast out of my own home. Today, I'm entering the mansion of one of the most powerful men in the city. Her heart raced, not with excitement, but anxiety. Marcelo stopped the car and turned to her. From now on, this is your home. His voice was firm, though softened by his gaze. Camilla swallowed hard. Home felt like too big a word. As she stepped inside, the mansion's silence wrapped around her like a cloak. The cold marble floor reflected the soft light of the chandeliers above, and every detail had been carefully selected to exude power. A housekeeper appeared, bowing her head discreetly in greeting. Camilla felt her curious stare, as if she were already being assessed. Marcelo led her up the grand staircase, down long corridors lined with family portraits and antique furniture. They stopped in front of a pair of double doors. He opened them, revealing his bedroom. "You'll sleep here," he stated, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. Camilla's eyes widened. "But, Marcelo, wouldn't it be better if I stayed in another room? This house must have dozens." He exhaled deeply, removing his suit jacket and placing it over a chair. "If you stay in another room, the staff will talk. And staff talk outside these walls. In no time, the whole city would know our marriage isn't real." His tone was practical, almost cold, but Camilla sensed the weight behind his words. He was protecting them both. I understand," she murmured, still embarrassed. Marcelo looked her straight in the eyes. "Don't worry. Nothing will happen without your consent. You have my word." Camilla lay down on the enormous king-size bed, as far from him as possible. The mattress was soft, so soft it felt like it might swallow her whole, but the comfort brought no peace. She heard Marcelo's footsteps on the other side of the room, the sound of his shoes coming off, his heavy breath as he settled in. Darkness blanketed the room, broken only by the soft glow of a bedside lamp. Camilla closed her eyes and thought, "Of all the places I could be tonight, I'm in the bed of a man I barely know who offered to marry me just to protect me." The silence between them was thick, a silence that spoke louder than words. Sunlight spilled through the large window draped in white curtains. Camilla woke with the strange sensation of not recognizing the place. It took her a few seconds to remember. She was in the mansion, in his bedroom. When she got up, Marcelo was already dressed, impeccable in a sharp blue suit, his tie perfectly knotted. He held something in his hand. "Good morning," he said, offering a faint smile. He extended a small card. "I want you to go shopping today." Camilla blinked, confused. "Shopping? You're my wife now. The wife of CEO Vasconcelos cannot be poorly dressed." His voice was firm, but his gaze held something protective. "You need to look the part." She took the card with trembling hands. She had never had her own card before. The piece of plastic felt heavier than iron. "I don't even know where to start," she murmured. "Start with what makes you feel confident," he replied, "not with what others expect from you." When she came down for breakfast, she could already feel the eyes on her. Two maids whispered in the corner of the room, their conversation halting the moment Camilla walked by. She only caught a snippet, but it was enough to make her chest tighten. So young. And already landed the boss. Camilla pretended not to hear, but the words scorched like fire. She sat at the long table where breakfast was laid out perfectly. Fresh fruit, bread, juice. Everything looked flawless, but every bite tasted like judgment. Marcelo entered moments later, and the room fell silent. The staff quickly scattered, trying to mask their whispers. He noticed her discomfort. "They talk because they don't know," he said quietly, stepping closer. "And they never will. What matters is what we know." But Camilla still felt the weight of those words echoing in her mind. Gold digger. Opportunist. Way too young for him. She clutched the card tightly in her hand and thought to herself, "If they want to judge me, let them, but I won't back down. I have a child to protect." Camilla spent the entire afternoon wandering from one store to another, lost among racks of clothes that belonged to a world she had never touched. Silk dresses, shoes that sparkled under the lights, handbags worth more than an entire month of her salary. She felt out of place and yet powerful. For the first time, she wasn't invisible. "I need something that says who I am, not just what they expect me to be," she told a sales assistant, surprised by the strength in her own voice. At the salon, she hesitated before sitting in the chair. Her long hair, always pulled into a simple ponytail, fell over her shoulders. "Cut it," she said suddenly. "I want something new." The scissors glided through her hair, and each fallen strand seemed to take a piece of that frightened girl with it. When it was over, the mirror revealed a new version of her, older, stronger, more woman. It was already night when she returned to the mansion. Soft lights lit the gardens and her heart beat faster. Would Marcelo notice? Would he say something? She found him in the living room, reading documents with glasses perched on his nose. When he looked up, he froze. For a moment, there was no CEO, no contract, just a man, stunned. "Camilla," he said, voice low, almost a whisper. His eyes moved over her, the new haircut, the simple yet elegant dress, the subtle glow of lipstick. Camilla lowered her gaze, shy, but a small smile escaped her lips. "It's not that bad, is it?" Marcelo cleared his throat, trying to regain composure. "You look different." He paused. "You look beautiful." Later, when they climbed the stairs to the bedroom, the atmosphere had shifted. Camilla lay on one side of the bed, as always pulling the covers up to her chin. Marcelo took longer to settle. He spent several moments staring at the ceiling, as if wrestling with something inside himself. Then he turned. For the first time, he allowed himself to really look at her, without filters, the delicate outline of her face, the parting of her lips as she breathed softly, the freshly cut hair falling across the pillow. And the nightdress, simple, but revealing curves he had never dared to notice before. His gaze lingered, too long for mere curiosity. Camilla felt it. Her body sensed it before her mind could process it. Her heart began to race, and she shifted slightly under the covers, uneasy. "Good night," she murmured, trying to sound casual, but her voice trembled. Marcelo took a deep breath, closing his eyes tightly, as if fighting something within himself. "Good night, Camilla," he replied, his voice lower, heavier than usual. But that night, neither of them found peace in sleep. The next morning, Camilla woke with her heart still pounding. Marcelo was already up, perfectly dressed as always. But something felt different. He held her hand firmly, as if preparing her to walk a path she could no longer avoid. "Today, you'll be introduced officially," he said with quiet gravity. "Are you ready?" She wanted to say yes, but the truth was, she wasn't. How can anyone ever be ready to be judged by 100 eyes? At the company, the atmosphere was electric with shock. Marcelo walked in, holding Camilla's hand, and the silence in the corridor was louder than any whisper. Colleagues, directors, assistants, everyone stopped to stare. Some whispered discreetly, others didn't bother to hide the contempt. 20 years old, she could be his daughter. She must be pregnant, obviously. Total setup, classic gold digger. The words cut through Camilla like sharp knives, but she held her head high. That same afternoon, the news hit every major site in the city. CEO Marcelo Vasconcelos shocks the public by marrying a 20-year-old. Future heir on the way. Social media exploded. Comments, criticism, ruthless jokes. She bagged a millionaire. He's lost his mind. This won't last 6 months. Camilla read it all in silence, her chest heavy, feeling like the whole world had judged and condemned her, without ever hearing her side. That evening, Marcelo called her into his office at the mansion. On the desk lay a black envelope. "I need you to read this," he said, handing her the document. Camilla opened it with trembling hands. Her heart beat faster with each clause she read. If there were a divorce due to infidelity, Camilla would receive nothing. She would receive a generous monthly allowance, enough to support herself and the baby. She would have to resign from her job at the company immediately. Her role would be maintain appearances, stay loyal, and play the perfect wife. She closed the contract slowly, a lump forming in her throat. "So this is what I am to you, a facade." Marcelo took a deep breath, looking her straight in the eyes. "This is what we need to be, for now. It's not about what I feel, it's about what the world needs to see." Camilla wanted to hate him in that moment, but deep down she knew he was also a prisoner of his own image. "At least the baby's future will be secure," he added, trying to soften the moment. "I promise, you'll never lack anything." Hours later, deep into the night, the doorbell echoed through the mansion. A housekeeper opened the gate, and Camilla's parents stormed in, furious. Her mother spoke first, her face red with shame and anger. "So this is it? As if getting pregnant wasn't disgraceful enough? Now you marry a man old enough to be your father?" Her father stepped forward, finger pointed accusingly. "You've shamed us. You're on every newspaper as the gold digger who conned the city's richest man. How could you do this to us?" Camilla's legs trembled, but she didn't step back. "I didn't do anything to you. I'm just trying to survive." "Survive? By marrying this man for money? Selling your youth?" Her mother spat cruelly. "You're a disgrace to our family." Tears streamed down Camilla's face, but she held her ground. Marcelo stepped forward, placing himself beside her like a wall of steel. "Enough," he said, his voice calm but edged with cold finality. "Camilla owes you nothing. If you came here just to shame her, then I suggest you leave, now." Her father glared at him, furious, but Marcelo didn't flinch. "She's no longer your daughter. She is my wife, and I will not allow you to treat her this way ever again." They left, slamming the door behind them, leaving only silence and pain in their wake. Camilla collapsed into Marcelo's shoulder, sobbing, and he wrapped her in an unexpectedly warm embrace. And in that moment, for the first time, she felt maybe she wasn't as alone as she thought. Camilla's days soon settled into a carefully rehearsed rhythm. In the mornings, the mansion was quiet. The staff moved discreetly, and Camilla grew used to living in a space that felt more like a museum than a home. She read, took care of small details around the house, jotted down ideas for dinners, and received instructions from the housekeeper on Vasconcelos family protocols. By afternoon, preparations began for the social events Marcelo assigned her. At charity galas, she walked beside him with a graceful smile, wearing hand-picked gowns to perfectly match the couple's pristine image. At business dinners, Camilla stunned everyone with her poised manners, her quiet intelligence, and the way she chimed in with subtle, informed comments, details Marcelo had carefully taught her before each engagement. "She's learning fast. Maybe she's not just after his money." The whispers were soft, but they were there, and Marcelo, always with a steady hand at her waist, showed the world she was his legitimate wife. At the mansion, Camilla began to embrace her role as hostess. She organized private dinners for Marcelo's closest friends, welcomed influential families, oversaw tables adorned with elegant dishes, always smiling, always elegant, always the perfect wife. And when the guests left, the house would fall silent again. Marcelo would walk her up to their room, exchange a few formal words, and lie down beside her, always keeping a respectful distance. The warmth of his presence was there, but his touch never followed, and so the days repeated. Half reality, half performance. But soon Camilla noticed a pattern. Every Friday without fail, Marcelo came home later than usual. The car would slip quietly through the mansion gates, its tires humming in the still night. He would rush upstairs without meeting her eyes and go straight to the shower. The water would run for long minutes, muffling every thought. Then Marcelo would lie beside her, still, heavy, like a man burdened by something unseen, and sleep. Camilla, wide-eyed in the dark, listened to the rhythm of his breathing, and a single question began to pound in her mind. Where does he go every Friday? The following week, when he returned from his usual late-night outing, she caught it the moment he entered the room. His cologne carried something else, something soft, sweet, and unmistakably feminine. Camilla shut her eyes, pretending to sleep, but her heart pounded so loudly she feared he could hear it. I never considered this before, but what if Marcelo has someone? The doubt gnawed at her. At their next event, she watched him more closely. The way he smiled at other women, how he avoided lingering conversations with her. Every detail became a question, and deep down a feeling began to burn. Am I starting to care too much? Camilla couldn't say exactly when her view of him began to shift. Maybe it was that last event, when he stood up for her, without hesitation. Maybe it was during the quiet nights, listening to his breath beside her and feeling oddly safe. That evening, as they reviewed some documents in the mansion's study, Camilla leaned in to point something out. Her shoulder brushed his arm, a brief touch that set her skin ablaze. She looked up at him, and for a heartbeat his eyes locked with hers. The silence between them thickened. Camilla felt herself leaning in, ever so slightly, drawn by a magnetic pull. Marcelo moved too, just a fraction. The air grew thin, but then he pulled away too fast. Closed the folder abruptly, stood up and said softly, "It's late. We should get some rest." Camilla stayed still, the sting of rejection cutting deep. He's never been seen with anyone, no scandals, no romance. Could there be another woman hidden somewhere in his past? Still shaken the next morning, Camilla knew she needed a distraction. Marcelo's birthday was coming. It was the perfect excuse to get out. She stepped into one of the city's luxury boutiques, lit by elegant window displays. A saleswoman, early 30s, polished with a professional smile, approached. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Vasconcelos. May I help you choose a gift?" Camilla smiled politely, but as the woman stepped closer, a familiar scent wrapped around her. Sweet, delicate, unmistakable. Her heart skipped. It was the same perfume, the same one she'd smelled on Marcelo every Friday night. For a moment, the ground disappeared beneath her. Could it be her? Is this the woman? The saleswoman showed her watches, cufflinks, luxurious pens. But her eyes, calm, measured, kept glancing at Camilla, as if searching for something. Camilla felt watched, exposed. She made a quick purchase, a luxury pen with his initials engraved, and left the store, the perfume trailing her like a shadow. Back at the mansion, Camilla tucked the gift into a drawer and spent the night in silence. Marcelo noticed. "You seem distant," he said during dinner. She took a deep breath. She had to ask, even if indirectly. "Marcelo, I need to ask you something. Not for me, but for us." "What is it?" Camilla met his gaze, steady. "Is there someone else? Another woman?" she asked carefully. "If there is, I need to know. Not out of jealousy, but because we have a facade to uphold. If word gets out, our entire agreement could fall apart." His eyes narrowed. Marcelo calmly set down his silverware and crossed his arms. "There's no one." Camilla raised an eyebrow, searching for any hint of a lie. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely," he said, firm and unwavering. "If there were someone, you'd be the first to know." He held her gaze for a long moment, until she looked away, her cheeks flushing. But deep inside, the doubt still burned. What if he's lying? What if that perfume wasn't my imagination? The night felt heavier than usual. Camilla lay in bed, facing away from Marcelo, her thoughts tangled in the afternoon's conversation. But there was something different in the air, an energy thick enough to touch. Around midnight, she woke with the distinct warmth of his body behind her. Opening her eyes, she realized Marcelo was close, too close. He was lying on his side, his face only inches from hers. "I can't do this," he murmured softly, as if fighting an inner war. I can't." Still half asleep, Camilla's heart pounded. His eyes burned with desire, but also guilt. She inhaled deeply and, on impulse, reached out to touch his face. "Then don't fight it," she whispered. Marcelo closed his eyes, trying to resist, but his body betrayed him. He pulled away as he always did, but this time, Camilla reached for him, drawing him close, pressing her lips to his. The kiss began tentative, then deepened, urgent, wild, as if years of restraint shattered in an instant. Marcelo wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her into him, his breath ragged, his body radiating heat. He gently rolled her beneath him. "Camilla, if I cross this line, I won't go back." "Then don't go back," she said without hesitation, her eyes shimmering with desire and surrender. The world vanished. There was only the two of them. His hunger caught her off guard. Marcelo touched her with the certainty of a man who knew exactly how to awaken pleasure, as if every move was mapped to unravel her completely. Camilla arched against him, soft moans escaping her lips, helpless under the intensity of it all. "No one has ever taken me like this," she thought, as his every motion took her places she didn't know existed. It wasn't just physical. It was a different kind of surrender, raw, consuming, like he had desired her for so long and was only now allowing himself to feel it. She felt claimed, and at the same time, deeply cherished. Her body responded instinctively, as if it had waited for this moment all along. "You have no idea how hard I've fought this," Marcelo whispered, voice thick and low, lips trailing heat down her neck. Camilla pulled him closer, feeling every thrust, every wave of him pushing her closer to ecstasy. It was like being devoured, and yet protected in every touch. When it was over, Camilla lay on her back, chest rising and falling in quick breaths. Marcelo held her still, bodies entwined, as if afraid to let go. Silence returned, but it wasn't the same. Something had changed, something permanent. Camilla closed her eyes, a faint smile playing on her lips. "No one's ever taken me that far. No one's ever touched me with such hunger." Her body still trembled, but not from fear. From the certainty that everything had shifted, the mask of their contract, the boundaries of appearances, none of it had survived the fire of that night. And as she drifted to sleep in his arms, Camilla knew there was no going back. Morning sunlight filtered through the heavy curtains as Camilla opened her eyes. Marcelo was already dressed, white shirt on, tie half knotted, adjusting his watch. Her heart raced at the memory of the night before, the kisses, the heat, the hunger in him. But his demeanor was unchanged, rigid, impeccable, as if nothing had happened. "Did you sleep well?" he asked, tone neutral, not even turning to face her. Camilla swallowed, a knot forming in her chest. "Yes," she replied quietly, doing her best to hide the sting in her voice. He simply nodded and left the room, leaving behind the lingering scent of his cologne and the ghost of a night that suddenly felt one-sided. The day passed like any other. Camilla met with the housekeeper about Saturday's dinner, reviewed the guest list, overheard whispered comments from the staff. But this time, everything felt different. In every corner of the house, she saw flashes of last night. Marcelo above her, his gaze, his touch, the way he took her like no one else ever had, and alongside it, the cold silence of this morning. Was it just a mistake to him, a weakness he's trying to erase? At lunch, Marcelo spoke about company business, his voice steady and controlled, as if the night hadn't even existed. Camilla watched him in silence, studying his every move, searching for signs. But there were none. And that, more than anything, was what hurt the most. That afternoon, while wrapping the gift she'd bought for his birthday, the scent from the store crept back into her mind. That same sweet, unmistakable perfume, the one she'd noticed every Friday when Marcelo came home late, the one that clung to his skin when he lay beside her after his showers. What if last night meant nothing? What if there is another woman, maybe that elegant saleswoman, the one who wore that same perfume? A tightness gripped Camilla's chest. Why did it matter so much? Why all of a sudden did the thought of Marcelo with someone else hurt more than it should? That night, lying once again beside him in bed, Camilla slowly turned, studying Marcelo in silence. He was still, eyes closed, breathing deep, seemingly asleep. She reached out, her hand hovering near his shoulder, but stopped, because alongside the memory of desire now lived the shadow of doubt. If he wants me, why does he pull away? And if he pulls away, is it because he already belongs to someone else? She shut her eyes, but sleep never came. The night dragged on, heavy and suffocating, haunted by a secret that may have been real, or simply her fear given shape. The next day stretched endlessly, time crawling with cruel precision. From early morning, Camilla watched Marcello with a guarded heart. He was the same as always, distant, focused, commanding on phone calls, buried in meetings that bled into the evening. But deep down, she was consumed by one question: will he come home late again? The clock mocked her with every tick. Dinner was served, but he never came. With each passing hour, the knot in her chest tightened. Is there any doubt left? Could the other woman really exist? After midnight, the sound of tires echoed in the courtyard. Camilla rushed to bed, lay down and pretended to sleep, every nerve in her body shaking with anticipation. The door opened quietly. Marcello stepped in, dropped his jacket on the chair, and walked straight to the bathroom. That's when Camilla smelled it. The scent. That same sweet feminine perfume that had haunted her every Friday. Her eyes filled with tears she didn't dare let fall. So it's true, she thought, devastated. Marcello stayed under the shower for a long time, as if trying to wash away more than just the day. When he finally emerged, he climbed into bed in silence. Camilla lay still, but felt his every movement. Marcello was restless. He shifted, sighed, his body unable to find peace. Then suddenly his arm pulled her close with unexpected force, his warmth pressed against her. Camilla gasped softly, surprised, but before she could react, Marcello kissed her, with the same hunger as the night before. There was no room for words, only the overwhelming pull of desire. He took her again with urgency, intensity, and a passion that seemed to override all logic. Caught in the fire of their connection, Camilla opened her eyes and met his. His gaze burned into hers, and for the first time she let the words escape. "I don't want you to belong to someone else," she whispered between short breaths. Marcello froze, eyes locked on hers. His chest heaved, his body still hovering over hers. Then, without hesitation, he murmured, low but certain, "I won't." The words felt like a vow, not signed on paper, but forged in heat, sealed by skin, by movement, by touch. He kissed her again, deeper, more urgent, as if that single sentence had broken the final wall between them. And that night, for the second time, Camilla gave herself to him completely. Exhausted, her body still trembling, Camilla lay still, heart racing. The sting of that perfume still lingered, a quiet ache in the background. But louder than that was his promise. "I won't." And for the first time she fell asleep believing that maybe, just maybe, she had won something more than a contract. The next morning, Camilla was nervous about her routine checkup. She had grown used to going alone, but that day Marcello appeared out of nowhere, adjusting his tie in the mirror. "I'm going with you today," he said firmly. "You don't have to," she replied shyly. "Yes, I do," he cut her off. "It's important they see us together in moments like this, not just for appearances, but because it's the right thing to do." His words disarmed her. Camilla felt a lump rise in her throat, part gratitude, part uncertainty. At the private hospital, the halls were too white, reeking of disinfectant and anxiety. Marcello walked beside her, his hand firm on her waist, as if claiming her before all the curious eyes that followed them. "Relax," he whispered, sensing her tension. But Camilla couldn't. Not with the memory of that perfume still haunting her. The elevator opened and they stepped in. Before the doors closed, an elegant woman entered too. Tall, poised, her polite smile was shadowed by something piercing in her eyes. Camilla's heart stopped. The perfume. It was her. That same sweet, enveloping scent that haunted her every Friday. Camilla swallowed hard, struggling to stay composed. "How far along are you?" she asked, surprised by her own boldness. The woman smiled slightly, resting a hand on her barely visible bump. 3 months. Camilla's stomach dropped. Before she could say anything, the woman turned and looked directly at Marcello. She said nothing, just held his gaze for seconds that lasted too long. The elevator shrank around them. The silence thickened. Camilla turned her eyes away, heart racing. 3 months, just when the Fridays began, just when I noticed the perfume. When the elevator finally stopped, the woman stepped out first. Her perfume lingered in the air, clinging like a silent accusation. Marcelo stayed still, serious, his gaze fixed ahead. Camilla couldn't take it. "Do you know her?" she asked, voice trembling. He drew a breath, took his time answering. "No," he said finally, short, almost cold. But the woman's look, the tension in the air, the perfume, everything screamed otherwise. Camilla walked beside him into the exam room, but inside a wound had split wide open. Did he lie to me again? Could that baby be his too? During the checkup, Marcelo sat beside her, perfect as ever, the image of a flawless husband. The doctor smiled, showed the baby on the screen, explained every detail. Camilla tried to smile, but her mind was miles away. Every glance at Marcelo only brought back that exchange in the elevator. Her heart pounded. 3 months. What if it's his? What if I'm just the second life he built in secret? The silence between them was suffocating. In the days that followed, Camilla pulled away. She avoided lingering glances, reduced their conversations to clipped replies. She no longer sought his bed like before. Marcelo noticed. He watched her in silence during meals, his gaze always searching her face, as if trying to decode her. "You're different," he said one night over dinner. Camilla looked up, but didn't hold his gaze. "I'm just tired." He set his fork down, untouched plate in front of him. "It's more than that. I know the look of someone pulling away." She didn't answer. Her silence was her shield. Marcelo had always been a man of control. He managed the company, the contracts, the facade. But with Camilla, he was losing ground. Each day, he felt her slipping further, swallowed by doubt. One night, seeing her lying, turned away from him in bed, he reached out and gently touched her shoulder. "Camilla, look at me." She pretended to be sleepy. "I'm fine, just want to sleep." Marcelo sighed, frustrated, but stepped back. For the first time, he didn't know how to close the distance. Camilla wandered the mansion for hours, feeling trapped. She thought about the baby, the contract, the marriage that had started as a charade but now hurt like something real. "I got too involved. I wasn't supposed to care. But now, I don't know how not to." The image of the pregnant woman in the elevator returned every night. The perfume clung to her memory like poison, and Marcelo's promise, "I won't be with anyone else," now sounded like a cruel lie. The next Friday, Marcelo came home early. Camilla was in the mansion's library trying to lose herself in a book when she heard his steady footsteps. He entered, closed the door behind him, and looked at her. "I didn't have any meetings today." "Came straight home," he said, as if needing to prove something. Camilla didn't respond. He stepped closer. "I can't take this silence between us." His voice dropped, almost a confession. Camilla looked at him, eyes glistening with tears. "Then give me a reason to believe you, Marcelo, because right now, all I have are doubts." The silence grew thick, and for the first time Marcelo had no answer ready. The mansion's library was wrapped in silence, broken only by the faint crackling of the fireplace. Camilla sat in the velvet armchair, a closed book resting on her lap, one she hadn't even realized she was holding. Marcelo stood in front of her, still, as if searching for the courage to speak the truth he'd been carrying for years. He drew a deep breath, eyes locked on hers, and began, "You want the truth, Camilla? Then listen closely, because I won't say this again." The firmness in his voice made her sit up straighter, heart pounding. Marcelo slowly approached, placing one hand on the back of the armchair and speaking lower now, though every word landed with the weight of iron. "I once had someone I was completely in love with." He paused, gaze distant as if chasing a ghost. "She didn't fit the image I needed to uphold. She didn't belong in my world. Dinners, shareholders. the name I carry. So, I lost her." Camilla stayed quiet. There was a tightness in her chest, but also a need to hear it through. When she told me she was pregnant, he clenched his jaw, eyes briefly dropping. I was sure the child wasn't mine, because, Camilla, I can't have children. I'm sterile. The words fell like stones, too heavy for the silence that filled the room. Camilla's breath escaped her, unsure if from shock or from the pain he revealed. Marcelo continued, not letting her respond yet. "She humiliated me, said I was too old. That I was wasting her youth, that she'd made sacrifices being with me, and I'd never give her what a real man could." He closed his eyes, as if every word still stung. "I endured it all, Camilla. Because back then, I still believed love could be bigger than the weight of time." Camilla wanted to speak, but her voice caught. Instead, she pressed her fingers against the book, as if drawing strength from it. Marcelo looked at her again, gaze more intense now. "Our marriage started as a contract. I never hid that. It was an agreement, a deal. You needed stability. I needed a family for the public eye." He breathed deeply. "But over time, you became more than that. You're not just the beautiful woman who dazzles at events. You're intelligent, composed. You can stand beside me and hold up the empire I've spent decades building." Camilla's heart raced. Each word peeled away a layer of doubt, only to reveal another, deeper, sharper. Marcelo leaned closer, eyes fixed on hers, and asked the question like a calculated strike. "It's easy to say yes to me today, but what about 20 years from now, Camilla?" She blinked, confused. He didn't look away. "Do you know who I'll be in 20 years? A man of 65. More wrinkles, maybe weaker, maybe no longer able to command all this." He opened his arms, encompassing the mansion, the company, the legacy. "And you'll be 40, beautiful, in your prime. Surrounded by younger men, closer to your age, offering what I no longer can." Camilla swallowed hard. The fear he exposed wasn't hers. It was his, but it hit her like an arrow. "I know what they say, that you tricked me, that you used me, that I'm a fool blinded by a pretty girl." He gave a bitter half-smile. "But what really terrifies me isn't what they say now. It's what they'll say when you start believing it too." Silence fell again, thick. Camilla's breathing was the only sound besides the fire. She didn't answer right away. She was stunned, heart full of questions, unable to voice a single one. Marcelo looked at her like a man handing over his heart in pieces, and for the first time since their marriage, Camilla saw the man behind the facade, wounded, afraid of being left behind again. That night, the mansion seemed to breathe with them. Camilla lay beside Marcelo, but between them stretched a chasm not of space, but of thoughts, doubts, memories. She closed her eyes but couldn't sleep. His words echoed in her head. "It's easy to say yes to me today, but what about 20 years from now?" The weight of it came in waves. In her rush to accept the contract to secure a future for her baby, she had never stopped to think about after, never asked herself what life beside an older man truly meant. Say a man who bore marks she didn't yet understand. Am I giving up my youth? Will I grow old with him, or waste years that could have been different? She turned to face him. Marcelo wasn't asleep either. His eyes were half open, fixed on the ceiling, lost in his own cage of thoughts. And there, in that silent moment, they were more alike than ever before. Two bodies, side by side, each wrestling their own fears. The next morning, the sharp ring of the intercom echoed through the mansion. Camilla was in the garden when a staff member announced, "Mrs. Camilla, your mother is here." Her heart froze. She hadn't seen her mother since the brutal night they'd cast her out in that very house. A storm of emotion swept over her, anger, longing, fear. As she stepped into the hall, her mother stood there, older, worn down, but with the same hard stare. Camilla faced her in silence, waiting for any word that wasn't an accusation. Her mother inhaled deeply. "Camilla, your father is sick." "Very sick. The doctors say he needs urgent treatment, expensive treatment. We can't afford it." The words fell like a cold blade. She remembered every time her parents denied her affection, understanding, support, her father's contempt, her mother's cruel words when she revealed her pregnancy. And now they came not for love, not for remorse, but for help. She felt tears burn, but refused to let them fall. "You're only here because you need money." Her voice came out steady but broke a little inside. Her mother looked away, unable to deny it. "He's your father, Camilla. You may hate him, but you can't abandon him now." Marcelo walked into the room mid-conversation, silent. He stayed a few steps behind, observing. Camilla, eyes brimming with tears, was torn between pain and her instinct as a daughter. He knew her well enough to see she was falling apart inside. He stepped forward quietly, placed a firm hand on her shoulder, and looked at her mother with the calm resolve of someone used to fixing what others can't. "Your husband's treatment will be taken care of." His voice was low but final. "And beyond that, there'll be a monthly allowance to ensure you lack for nothing." Camilla turned to him surprised. "Marcelo, you don't have to—" He looked straight into her eyes. "I do, because I saw what this did to you. You shouldn't have to carry this guilt, Camilla." His words fell over her like both balm and burden. Her throat tightened. Once again, it was Marcelo taking responsibility, fixing the impossible. And yet, it was also a cruel reminder. Her parents had never truly loved her. But now, thanks to the man she married through a contract, they had everything she once dreamed of receiving: care, safety, protection. Camilla sat down, trembling, and finally let the tears fall. "Why do I still care? They never cared about me, not once," she whispered. Marcelo knelt in front of her, holding her hands tightly. "Because you're not like them, Camilla. Because you still have a heart, even after everything." He took a deep breath. "And that's what makes you stronger than they'll ever be." That night, Camilla couldn't sleep. Lying beside Marcelo, her thoughts swirled with her mother's held-back tears, her father's frail image, and the weight of the help now coming from him. She glanced at Marcelo. He was sleeping deeply, but his breath was heavy, as if even in dreams he carried the weight of the world. Camilla realized once again that she was trapped between two lives: the girl who'd been rejected by her parents, and the woman now married to a powerful, enigmatic man. And for the first time she wondered, is it love that keeps me here, or the fear of being alone again? The mansion was more alive than ever that night. Camilla had spent the last few days preparing every detail in silence, without telling Marcelo. She had spoken with the staff, chosen the menu, picked the decor. Simple, tasteful, exactly his style. No lavish displays, no social pageantry. She wanted something intimate, personal. When the first guests arrived, Marcelo looked surprised. He recognized the faces of longtime friends, people he truly respected. Not the usual corporate flatterers or opportunists, but the few who had once mattered to him beyond boardrooms. Camilla greeted them with quiet grace, offering wine and describing the courses. Marcelo watched her from a distance, intrigued. He knew she had no reason to do any of this, much less know who these people were. And yet, there she was, playing the role no one ever had before, standing beside him with genuine presence, no obligation, no pretense. During dinner, Marcelo laughed. Old stories resurfaced, glasses clinked in toasts, and even his usually solemn face softened. Camilla watched in silence, charmed by the transformation. For a few hours, the burdens he carried every day seemed to lift from his shoulders. When the night ended and guests left, the mansion fell into silence again. Marcelo walked up the stairs slowly, still wearing that rare, faint smile. In the bedroom, he found Camilla tidying up the last of the night's details. "You did all this for me?" he asked, voice low, almost afraid to break the spell. Camilla met his gaze and answered simply, "You deserved it. At least one night where you didn't have to be the CEO, or the man everyone demands from. Just you, just Marcelo. He stood silent for a few seconds, as if etching her words into memory. Then he stepped closer. It's been a long time since I felt this truly happy. Camila gave a soft smile and looked away. She went into the bathroom and when she returned, wore a black silk slip. Elegant yet daring. It hugged her youthful figure in a way that seemed intentionally irresistible. Marcelo, sitting at the edge of the bed, looked up. In that moment, there were no contracts, no masks, no power games. He watched her not with brutality, but restrained hunger, a desire that had grown quietly, night after night. Camila felt his gaze burn through her. Her heart raced. For a second, she almost stepped back, but when she took that first step toward him, Marcelo gave in. He stood slowly, closing the distance until her perfume mixed with the silk and reached him. His hand slipped around her waist, firm yet careful, as if holding something precious. Camila lifted her face and their eyes locked. His breathing was heavy, tense. "I can't pretend anymore. I want you," he murmured. Camila didn't reply with words. She held his face in her hands, brought her lips close as if granting permission. The kiss came hungry, intense. It scorched everything around them. Marcelo swept her into his arms and laid her down with both power and care. The silk slid under his touch, revealing warm, trembling skin. Camila surrendered, every movement feeling like the first time someone truly wanted her, without restraint. He took her with a blend of urgency and reverence, led by a hunger he'd kept caged for months. Camila was taken aback by the intensity. She had never been touched like that, never lifted so high, so fast. Their sighs mingled with the mansion's silence, and time seemed to freeze. It was as if the world had vanished, leaving only them, the heat of their bodies and the certainty that something had changed forever that night. When they finally pulled apart, breathless, Marcelo stayed beside her, holding her hand. Lying down, heart racing, Camila could think of nothing else but what had just happened. And in those early hours, for the first time, Camila didn't think about the contract or appearances. She thought only of him. The following weeks were unlike anything Camila had ever lived. What had started as a cold, calculated arrangement had slowly turned into the rhythm of a true couple. It wasn't just about sleeping in the same bed anymore. Now, they woke up together. Camila would rise early, and Marcelo would already be seated in the bedroom armchair reading the morning paper, like always. But now, when she passed by, he'd lower the paper just to watch her walk through the mansion in her silk slip. Their eyes spoke, silent but full of desire. In the kitchen, they shared breakfast. Sometimes they talked about small things, the weather, the day's menu, a home renovation. Other times, they said nothing at all. But it was a silence that didn't ask for explanations. At night, they were inseparable. They slept together, touched each other, gave in to one another like it was always the first time. Marcelo was intense, hungry, but gentle too, like every inch of her body was something to be carefully explored. And Camila, for the first time in her life, felt something she never had in any relationship before: safety. It wasn't just passion. It was the assurance that when she opened her eyes in the morning, he'd be there. Lying in bed after making love, they talked about everything. Camila shared how she felt about the pregnancy, her fears, her hopes. Marcelo, always so private, opened up about his youth, stories no one else knew. He spoke of his mistakes, his losses, his disappointments, and Camila listened, sometimes stunned by how much vulnerability hid beneath the surface of the man known to the world as an unshakable CEO. And the more he opened up, the more she realized she had truly fallen for him, not for his money, not for his power, but for the man. One morning, after breakfast, Marcelo set his cutlery down and looked at her intently. "Camila, we need to talk about something important." She straightened in her chair, nervous. "What is it?" He took a breath, lacing his fingers like he did in board meetings. "Our marriage began as a front, but now it's real. And that means you're not just my wife." You're part of what I've built. Camilla frowned slightly. Marcelo, I don't understand. He planted his palms on the table, steady. You need to start learning about the company, about the business, because if anything ever happens to me, it'll all be yours. The words hit hard. Her heart raced. It wasn't just an inheritance, it was a responsibility. Me? She whispered, almost in disbelief. Yes. Marcelo replied without hesitation. You're the mother of my heir. And you're the woman I chose to have by my side. I don't want you depending on anyone if I'm not here. He stood up, walked to her, and held her face with both hands. It's time for you to take the place that's rightfully yours, beside me. Camilla took a deep breath. In that moment, she realized the facade of their marriage had truly ended. Now it was real, full of love, desire, responsibility, and power. On Monday morning, Camilla woke up feeling different. She wasn't just Marcelo's wife anymore. He had invited her to see the company, to sit by his side in the meetings that mattered. She dressed carefully. She didn't want to look like a girl who stumbled into a world that wasn't hers. She chose a sober, elegant outfit that still reflected her youth in every detail. When she came down the stairs of the mansion, Marcelo was already waiting, immaculate in his tailored suit. He looked her up and down, and a discreet smile curved his lips. Perfect, he said simply, offering his arm. Camilla's heart skipped. In that moment, she was stepping into a new role. At the company lobby, all eyes turned to them. Employees subtly paused their tasks to watch the couple walk across the marble hall. She heard the whispers. That's her. So young. Probably after his money. Each word cut deep. But she held her chin high, remembering what Marcelo had told her the night before. You're the woman I chose to stand beside me. He sensed her tension. As they passed reception, he slid his hand around her waist firmly like a silent claim, and in a low voice he said, Don't mind them. Power always attracts hate. The boardroom was wide, encased in glass. The directors were already seated, and all eyes turned to Camilla as she entered. Marcelo pulled out the chair beside his and gestured for her to sit. The silence was thick. One of the older directors cleared his throat, trying to break the tension. I wasn't aware we'd have a special guest today. Marcelo lifted his gaze, steady, and answered without a hint of hesitation. Camilla is not a guest. She's part of this table now. The impact was instant. Some masked their discomfort with polite smiles. Others looked down, avoiding her eyes. Camilla felt the pressure tightening in her chest, but kept her posture. Marcelo then handed a simple item on the agenda over to her. A test. Camilla took a deep breath, adjusted her tone, and spoke calmly. She didn't try to sound like someone she wasn't, just gave her honest opinion on the project. The silence that followed was tense, but Marcelo offered a subtle nod, almost a smile. Good point, he said, affirming her place. In the hallways, the whispers multiplied. Some mocked her under their breath, calling her the girl who cradle-hustled her way into power. But others began to notice that Marcelo had changed. He looked more present, more alive since she arrived. Camilla overheard fragments of conversations and pretended not to care, but every word stung, and it only fueled her drive. If they think I'm not capable, I'll prove them wrong. That night in the car, Marcelo watched her quietly. Camilla, exhausted, stared out the window. Then he broke the silence. You were better than I expected today. She raised an eyebrow, surprised. Better? I only said what I thought. Exactly, he replied. You didn't try to be anyone else. That's what's missing in this world, authenticity. Camilla looked at him unsure. But what if I'm not enough for all this? Marcelo took her hand, firm. Then I'll teach you. But it has to be your choice, Camilla. Do you want this future, or would you rather stay in the shadow? She inhaled deeply, and in that moment she understood. The contract, the appearances, the comfort of routine, none of that would ever be enough. She wanted more. She wanted to learn. She wanted to grow. She wanted to match him. The months that followed were a silent marathon for Camilla. Her body changed with every passing week. Her belly grew, her steps slowed, but still, she didn't stop. Every morning, hand in hand with Marcelo, she crossed the company's lobby with her head held high. She no longer heard the whispers the same way. Some still mocked her, others silently judged, but now there were eyes that looked at her with respect. She had earned it. She spent hours in meetings, taking notes, asking questions, offering input. At first, some stifled laughter when she spoke. Now, they paused to listen. Camilla had learned fast. She cradled her growing belly with one hand while pointing out flaws in reports even the veterans missed. At night, exhausted, she'd sit in the mansion's office with stacks of paperwork. Marcelo, who once insisted she rest, now simply watched from a distance, pride softening his face. He knew Camilla wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was becoming part of it. There were hard days, days when her back ached and tears streamed from pressure and pain. And on those days, Marcelo let go of the CEO. He held her close, massaged her shoulders, whispered only a few words, "Carmen, but they always hit the mark. You've come further than anyone believed you could. I won't let you fall now." Those words became her fuel. Camilla would breathe deep and rise even stronger. By her 8th month, the pace began to take its toll. Marcelo started insisting she stay home more often, but she still joined the most important meetings. "I don't want them to think I'm just the boss's pretty wife," she said firmly. He only watched her, pride shining in his eyes. There was no turning back now. Camilla had claimed her place. It was past midnight when the first contractions came. Camilla woke up with a sharp, deep pain in her belly, unlike anything she'd ever felt. At first, she tried to endure it silently, but Marcelo woke with her movement. "Is it time?" His voice trembled, for the first time in ages. She nodded, eyes glistening. In minutes, the mansion erupted into action, voices echoing, staff running, the car ready. Marcelo never left her side, holding her hand the entire time. At the hospital, the hours crawled by. Camilla was drenched in sweat, the pain relentless, heart racing. Marcelo was beside her, his once perfect suit discarded on a chair, tie loosened, sleeves rolled. With each contraction, he murmured, "Breathe with me. I'm right here." And for the first time, Camilla saw Marcelo vulnerable. His eyes shimmered with fear, like everything he had built meant nothing compared to the thought of losing her. When their baby's cry finally echoed in the room, tears spilled down her cheeks. The doctor congratulated her. Marcelo, unable to hide the emotion, held his son for the first time. The ruthless businessman, the impenetrable CEO, now trembled like a boy. He looked at the baby, then at Camilla. "He's perfect, just like you." Camilla smiled, exhausted but complete. In that moment, every struggle, every tear, every judgment faded into insignificance. She had made it. They had made it. A few days later, the family returned home. The mansion, once vast and cold, now echoed with the soft cries and giggles of a newborn. Camilla, cradling her son, walked the long corridors with a different stride. She was no longer just the girl rejected by her parents, no longer the woman in a contractual marriage. She was a mother, a partner, a part of something bigger than herself. And Marcelo, watching her hold their son, knew this was his greatest triumph. Not the company, not the empire. It was her. It was them. The mansion hadn't felt the same since the baby's arrival. The once silent hallways now pulsed with hurried footsteps and newborn cries. Camilla spent her days between feedings, sleepless nights, and long stares into the eyes of her son. Marcelo, despite his tight schedule, made a point to return early whenever he could, just to hold the baby for a few moments. They looked like the perfect family. Too perfect not to attract attention. By the end of that same week, tabloids and websites were splashing headlines. At 45, powerful CEO becomes a father for the first time. and the mother is his 20-year-old wife. Age gap, contract, and now an heir. Where does this story end? Social media was ruthless. She just wanted to lock in the future. Poor girl, she'll grow old babysitting a rich grandpa. That baby was the final move in her game. Camila read it all in secret, each word a wound. Marcelo, catching her in the act, took her phone and set it down firmly. Don't poison yourself with that. People talk too much when they envy what they can't have. But deep down, Camila knew. Those words were a reminder. Her life would never be simple again. Even within the company, things had shifted. She was no longer just the young wife. She was now the mother of the heir. Some respected her more. Others resented her even more openly. She saw the side glances, the abrupt silences when she entered a room. In one high-stakes meeting, a longtime partner smirked and said, "Congratulations, Marcelo. With the heir secured, I suppose succession is no longer a concern." Marcelo remained calm, but his voice cut through the air like steel. Succession isn't just about blood, it's about preparation, and Camila has already started hers. Silence fell hard. Camila, seated beside him, felt her heart race. It was more than a statement. It was a declaration. She wasn't temporary, she was here to stay. Days later, Camila's mother showed up at the mansion again, this time with a rehearsed smile and sweet words that felt foreign in a mouth that once spat nothing but bitterness. "He's beautiful, Camila. You married well. We're proud of you." Camila held her baby tighter, breathed deeply. She didn't answer right away. She knew it wasn't pride speaking, it was interest. The financial help Marcelo sent each month kept her parents afloat. And now, with a grandson tied to wealth and power, they were trying to get closer again. Marcelo walked into the room mid-conversation. The glance he gave his mother-in-law was enough to make her understand. There would be no room for manipulation here. That night, Camila couldn't sleep. Lying next to Marcelo, she watched their son in the crib beside the bed. She felt a weight on her shoulders, one no one could see. She wasn't just a mother or a wife. She was now the guardian of an empire's future. Sensing her restlessness, Marcelo stroked her hair and whispered, "I know you feel the pressure, but remember, you'll never carry it alone. The world may judge us, may try to tear us apart, but as long as we stand together, they'll never win." Camila closed her eyes, let the tears fall quietly, and for the first time she understood something deeply. The birth of her son didn't only bring joy. It brought a crown, invisible, heavy, unforgiving, but unbreakable. Camila had gradually returned to work, juggling motherhood and boardroom pressure with a discipline that stunned everyone. One seemingly ordinary afternoon, during a meeting with multiple departments, she noticed something new. A young intern, pretty, energetic. But that wasn't what caught Camila's attention. It was the way the girl looked at Marcelo. Her eyes shimmered at every word he spoke. She leaned forward just slightly whenever he did, and every now and then, a smile, faint but deliberate, only for him. Camila almost smiled. It wasn't jealousy, it was almost amusing. Because now, more than ever, she knew Marcelo didn't see anyone else. When the meeting ended, the intern walked over to Marcelo with a flimsy excuse to hand him a document already on his desk. Camila stood at a distance, arms crossed, a discreet smile on her lips. Marcelo thanked her courteously but left no opening, and then it happened. His eyes shifted from the young intern and locked onto Camila across the room. He didn't need words. His look said it all. "I saw. You saw too. Only you matter." Camila held his gaze, raising a brow ever so slightly, as though to reply silently, "I know." Hours later, in the car, the subject came up. Camila stared out the window, but a playful smile lingered on her lips. "She's quite persistent, isn't she?" she remarked, almost teasing. Marcelo glanced off the road at her. "Are you jealous?" She chuckled softly. "No, I'm curious to see how far she'll go before she realizes she has no chance." The silence that followed hung heavy, not with tension but with something else. Marcello smiled at the side of his mouth and spoke quietly. "If you only knew how irresistible you are when you talk like that." Camilla felt her body tremble. It was as if the balance of power had finally shifted, shared between them. That night, in the stillness of the house, Camilla reflected on what had happened. She was no longer the frightened girl fearing replacement or erasure. She was wife. She was mother of the heir. She was the woman who had won Marcello completely, and noticing another try to cross that threshold didn't unsettle her. It served as a reminder of just how far she had come. Lying beside him, she whispered softly, "Marcello, I was never afraid of losing you. I was afraid of losing myself." He turned, watched her in silence, then pulled her close. "You will never lose yourself, Camilla. You will find yourself more and more by my side." And that night, as he held her in his arms with the same hunger as always, she knew. The insecure girl was gone. Now, she was part of the empire. Time passed, as it always does. But for Camilla and Marcello, every year together became a quiet proof to the world. What had begun as a cold contract blossomed into a marriage rooted in mutual mission, in complicity, in shared purpose. Camilla flourished. The girl once exiled from home became the woman who commanded boardrooms, who looked investors in the eye and made them step back with sharp arguments. Magazines proclaimed her the woman who silenced investors, the wife who became the empire. And always Marcello was at her side, quieter with the passing years, but ever present, a bastion beneath their fortress. Their son grew up amid love and discipline. Marcello, firm but fair, taught him about business fundamentals. Camilla gave him the broader vision of life. The boy learned early that running a company wasn't enough. You had to manage hearts, trust, and loyalty. At family gatherings, Marcello reveled in the sight. Camilla radiant on one side, the heir curious and poised on the other. What he built with sweat and steel now had a living continuation. The years demanded their toll. Marcello, who for decades lived at breakneck speed, began to slow. First, he attended fewer meetings, then fewer trips. Finally, he watched more from home, on the mansion's garden terrace, reading quietly while Camilla stepped further into leadership. She became a respected and sometimes feared leader, mentioned in international journals, invited to speak, honored. But for her, her greatest pride was returning home to see Marcello, seated in his favorite armchair, smiling when she entered. "You were born for this, Camilla," he'd say in calm tones laced with years of struggle. "I was born because you believed in me," she'd reply, and they understood each other without more words. Time is unforgiving. At 65, Marcello no longer had the vigor of his youth, but his gaze remained steady, with that same fire that had captivated Camilla years ago. One morning, sunlight filtering through the curtains, Camilla saw him breathing more softly than ever. She sat beside him, gripped his hand, and watched him. He opened his tired eyes gently, tenderly, and murmured, "We won, Camilla. Against all odds, against everything, we won." She smiled through her tears, caressing his face. "And I will never be the same because of you." Marcello closed his eyes and departed peacefully, as though shifting place in a dream. Camilla never loved another man after him, not because she couldn't, but because she didn't want to. Marcello left inside her something irreplaceable, the certainty that love is more than feeling. It is building, fighting, falling, and rising, together. She continued leading the company, preparing their son to inherit the empire. But in every decision, she remembered his words, his strength, and the lessons that would never fade. And whenever magazines or investors asked about Marcello, Camilla smiled with a blend of sorrow and pride. He left more than a company. He left a legacy, and he left me. And that is immeasurable. Years later, walking through the mansion gardens, Camilla reflected on all they had lived. From the cold contract to his serene farewell, it was a single continuous thread, weaving the story of two who, against every prediction, moved worlds together. Marcelo was no longer physically there, but she felt him in every corner, in every memory, in her son's gaze that bore his likeness. And silently, she repeated those same words. "I never loved anyone like I loved you." This is the story of Camila and Marcelo, a marriage born of contract, shadowed by doubt, but transformed into a love that moved worlds. They proved that when two souls align in purpose, nothing is impossible, neither time, nor criticism, nor difference. And you? Do you believe a love like this can truly exist? Write where you're watching from in the comments below and share your thoughts. We'd love to know how far our stories travel.